I would say my peak moment was when I actually was able to step on AT&T Stadium and train the entire company. That was like that moment. Oh my God, I just got choked up for a second.
Abby's story started as a stay-at-home mom of 2 kids who stumbled somehow into the world of entrepreneurship, building a high 6-figure income through Advocare.
And believe it or not, 3 weeks later, we got a phone call that said they changed their compensation plan. It was basically going to take our income from $40,000 to $50,000 a month down to about $400 a month.
Now what? How do I not allow myself to let that be my identity and feel that I have what it takes to build it back up?
Take away everything you've ever believed about yourself and actually just step into your true authentic self.
Welcome to the AAA Mindset, the podcast where adversity isn't a setback, it's the setup. If life has challenged you and stepped on your confidence and forced you to pivot, you're in the right place. Here, we train the mind to face obstacles head on and turn them into fuel for growth, resilience, and success.
Welcome to the AAA Mindset. My name's Anastasia Young. I am an online coach and personal trainer, as well as an IFBB Wellness Pro. And this is my lovely sister-in-law and my husband, Adam. I'll let them introduce themselves.
I'm Abby McMaster. I run an online business and I also have a coaching program.
I'm Adam Young. I run an online business. I'm a personal trainer at Armrest Pro Gym, and I'm a dad of 2.
Okay, let's get right into it. Our next series of episodes are really powerful because we are going to be talking with Abby about her journey from what it was really like to build, lose, and then completely rebuild to get to coming back even stronger. So for those of you who don't know, Abby's story started as a stay-at-home mom of 2 kids who stumbled somehow into the world of entrepreneurship, building a high 6-figure income through Advocare.
Yes. So yeah, I got started in this industry, in the industry I'm in actually in 2012. My 2 kids were 3 and 5. My husband was traveling all the time and we needed extra income. That was just the truth. You know, we definitely were the family that it looked super pretty on the outside, like great house, golf course community, nice cars. My kids wore all the matching gymboree. So nobody necessarily would have known like they need extra income. But the truth was we did. Now, yes, I could have easily gone and gotten a job, but the reality of it was my husband was traveling and I didn't want to have to put my kids in daycare. And so if I was working, that money would have gone to daycare. So it just made sense, find something. I also wanted the capability of being a mom, but also having an uncapped potential as far as what I could do financially. So found what we call the network marketing space, MLM, whatever you want. Affiliate marketing is a lot of people like to call it nowadays. And it really just like worked perfectly with who I was. It was in, a sports nutrition company. I've always been into working out, being healthy. And so finding products that I could help share with people to make them feel great, along with obviously bringing extra income into our family, just honestly made sense.
Nice.
At that time, did you see yourself as someone who would build a big business, or did that identity develop over time?
That's actually a great question. So no, I did not actually. I was kind of that person that, if you went to the high school reunion at 20 years and you thought to yourself, who's going to be super successful? Abby probably wasn't that person because I was the one who graduated with a 2.6, got a 15 on my ACT. And
they say those are the most successful people.
That's true. Actually, first time I got a 13, second time was a 15.
I got a 17, so it's genetic.
Yeah. It took me 10 years to graduate from college. So I wasn't the ideal person. And I think at that time, I identified myself as that person because that's who people outside thought of me as.
Right.
Whereas for me, I knew deep inside that I had it in me. So did I see myself as being that person? No. I think secretly, did I want to be that person? Yes.
Okay, so let me ask you this. So when did you see that you had potential in being good at this?
Yeah, so I started actually, this sounds so terrible. I started getting on a lot of trainings. I actually went to the first big event I'd ever been to. And I remember looking at people, and this is not to be selfish or conceited by any means, but I'm watching the people on stage and I'm thinking to myself, if they can do it, so can I. If those people can do it, so can I. And that was the first time that I really thought okay, take away everything you've ever believed about yourself and actually just step into your true authentic self.
Right.
Love that.
That's the key to life right there.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. Looking back, what were you doing with Advocare that most people are not willing to do to be consistent?
I knew it wasn't going to be easy. I think people come into businesses. Here's the thing, especially in this day and age with online, you see people put up their camera and have all this success and you just think it's going to be easy. And it's not. And that was the biggest thing for me was I knew it wasn't going to be easy, but I also knew that quitting wasn't going to be easy.
Right.
And so just keep going because the only way it doesn't work is if you stop.
So tell us about your peak moment with your company.
Ooh, okay. I would say my peak moment was when I actually was able to step on AT&T Stadium and train the entire company. That was like that moment. Oh my God, I just got choked up for a second. That was like my moment that I was like, oh my gosh, like you really are. Like you really are who you knew you were supposed to be your entire life.
You're a shining star.
Well, what describe that setting? Like you said, for those of us who don't know and who weren't there or didn't see pictures, like, was this like a couple hundred people? Was this?
Yeah, so it was actually 25,000 people at AT&T Stadium.
I remember that.
Yeah, on stage under the Jumbotron. So like no big deal.
But I mean, I've known my sister for as long as I've been on this planet, and I mean, that's just like she almost looks more comfortable in that setting than she does just in daily life. That's just like who she is.
I would agree.
Whereas me myself, I'm good on that.
You could totally do it. You could. It's actually, you just have to go into it. I get the question all the time, like, how do you not get nervous when you do things like that? And I always say, because I don't go out there and make it about me.
Right.
If you go out there and think of it just impacting one single person in that audience, that's what it's about. It's not about you. So when you do that, you're not nervous.
Right.
That's a great perspective to be able to speak in front of people and just be like, look, whose life can I change today?
Yep.
Okay, so you're at this stadium giving this talk. Why was this the pinnacle? Why was this the peak?
I think for me, it just was that moment that it was like all the work was worth it, and all the naysayers and all the people saying, why are you doing this? And all the people who stopped talking to you because, they don't like who you're becoming, even though you're becoming a better person. It was at that moment that I was like, I proved to myself, but also to other people that like, I did do it.
And that's one thing I will say as your brother. I saw the whole journey and I saw you start from the beginning. And I remember even people saying, oh my gosh, your sister just posts all the time, yada, yada, yada. But my sister also makes a ton of money. She's extremely successful and she doesn't give a shit what you think.
I actually don't.
So it goes back to that,
It
goes back to that question of like what you're willing to do that most people aren't to be this successful and to get to that. And that's a testament right there. It's like, you don't just stumble into speaking at the AT&T Stadium. Like you have to get asked by these CEOs that have this trust and faith in you. And so that is a pretty heavy responsibility. So did you feel that pressure at the time, or were you like totally confident?
I would say I was pretty confident. I was.
Do you see it like as this is like my moment to like really make myself who I want to be in this industry?
Yeah, definitely. I think I knew that I had a message that people could relate to. I've always gone into what I do being very like a very like humble leader. Like, yes, I'm very successful, but I don't think if you just met me on the street, you would think that, I'm just a very genuine person. And I don't like people in this industry truly that have an ego, think that they're great. Think that you should just like bow down to them. I think that's so disgusting. And unfortunately you see it a lot. Yeah. And so my goal is always to be that super humble person that if I'm in the room talking with you and you don't know who I am, you would never think I was other than just a normal person.
And I will second that because I was actually training one of my clients this morning that's known my sister since he was about 4 years old.
Oh, I know him.
And I told him, I said, Abby's just one of those people that if you don't like Abby, you probably don't like many people.
That's so nice.
It's true.
That's so nice. Thank you. I feel the same about you.
Let's go back to some things that you guys said in terms of in this industry. You had kind of referred to in this industry. Well, let's get the elephant out of the room. This is an MLM company. Abicure is, where's that negative connotation? Did that exist when you started with Abicure, or since Abicure was kind of one of the newer models of that back in 2012? And then did that slowly pick up steam? Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, Abicure actually was definitely not like a newer company in that industry. Because I think network marketing started in like the 1930s, believe it or not. With, think about the Avons. I mean, think about the door. True. Like the Avon Mary lady would come to your front door. Mary Kay, like those are all.
The protein shake guy.
The protein shake guy. Melaleucas, like all of those companies have been around for so many years. The reason why I believe that the industry has the reputation that it does is not because it's bad by any means. People can try to do that quote unquote pyramid thing, but if you look at anything, everything's a pyramid. Right. My husband was in medical device sales. If he sold a piece of equipment to the hospital, his regional manager got a commission, his area VP got a commission, and his CEO got a commission. So there you have it. So that's not the issue. The issue is that a lot of people go into things like this and they see the people who are super successful and they want that, but they want it now.
Right.
And so when they start to hear no from people and they start to suddenly, their family, their friends start to say things to them, they don't have enough like backbone or enough like purpose and why they're doing it, that they suddenly are like, they don't want to do it because they're so worried about what people think.
Right.
And that's the reason why it has a reputation, because they quit.
So
And
people project their own views of that
Yeah.
onto the business.
yeah, they have
So
uncles.
it's the same reason people fail at everything they fail at.
Think about bodybuilding. Prime
Same thing.
example. They come in, they see you, and then all of a sudden they're like, wait, in a week I don't have muscles like you. It didn't work.
This is bullshit.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely. So that's the reason behind it. I will say this, my dad, the very first day I signed up, it was on April the 23rd, 2012, and I'll never forget it. I posted something and I knew, because my dad always thought of it as those things. And he called me and said, what are you doing? And do you really think you're ever going to make money from something like that? And I love him dearly, but I proved him wrong.
She has. That's for sure.
It's that middle child syndrome,
It
girl.
is.
I got you.
And
I
a little
think-
child, exactly.
And I think with the older generation, no offense, Dad, but I think with the older generation, it was like, get a job,
Yes.
do the job, and that's how you made money. It wasn't like, be creative, put yourself out there and try to make it on your own. It was like, get a really good job. And that's what mattered.
Well, and and it makes sense. They pay for education, they pay for this college and all of these things. And now I've just signed up for a network marketing company, and I'm like, forget my communications degree. But no, that's the only reason why it has a reputation, is that people don't stick and stay with it, and they don't want to take ownership as far as like, hey, I quit, I gave up on it. They want to blame everybody else.
Yeah. And there's a lot of truth to like older generations. You're supposed to go to college, you're supposed to get a job with a corporation, and that's success.
Mm-hmm.
So my wonderful father-in-law did that,
Yes.
and that was his version of success. He brought his family, was able to provide a lot for you guys, an education, obviously, be able to do sports and activities growing up and all the things that you wanted and needed, and provide a safe environment. But this now is kind of a changing and evolving environment that we're in, and it's evolving to where success looks different.
Absolutely.
And so it kind of scares some older generations.
Because they don't have that security. They don't have that, that same paycheck coming in every 2 weeks. Because
benefits
with all of our jobs, our incomes vary. Like some weeks are freaking amazing, some weeks suck.
Exactly.
And you just have that mental fortitude to know that it's going to happen, and you just got to trust it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You got to build the grit. You do. And that you can't, I would never do anything else. Like I can't imagine, and not, no offense to anyone who has a corporate job by any means,
No,
but for
that's
me
not what we're
personally, I wouldn't want to know that I had to be somewhere 8 to 5, because I've had the flexibility for so many years. That doesn't mean I don't work my tail off.
Well, like
Well, I was
when I want
gonna
to take
say-
time off, I
Yeah.
have to ask my boss.
Yeah.
Well, and I was going to say too, like, I grew up in a household where my father owned a restaurant his whole life. And so naturally he took over the restaurant business, opened up his own in Denver, and then he was working for himself. There was a time where he actually stepped away from the restaurant. He sold it and worked for Shamrock Foods and worked in that corporate setting. Hated every minute of it.
Yep.
Now, let's not get it twisted, because when he went back and bought his old restaurant back. Like that's crazy, right? Like, why would you do that? But because he craved that ownership, he craved that entrepreneurship. Not to mention, let's not get it twisted, that when you do own your own business, it's not a 9 to 5.
No.
You don't clock in and clock out. You are working all the time.
Yes.
It's a labor of love. And I think that I saw that from my father. I saw that definitely from my grandfather, who immigrated here from Greece. And the life that they build was pretty incredible. So let's
Absolutely.
get back to your journey.
Yes.
So you're at your peak success. You're speaking at AT&T. What else happened? You're in front of thousands of people. Then you go on this trip.
Yeah, so we traveled the world with that company. We've gone to every continent except for Asia and Australia. And so, yes, Antarctica. We went to Antarctica. So it was an amazing, amazing experience. But yes, we had our final trip was to Africa. And I remember just something feeling off there. We've been with the company for 7.5 years. In full transparency, a year and a half prior to that, I started feeling like something's weird, right? Like it's not the same as it used to be. But when it's your income coming in and you got a big team, you just kind of like
It's
have
fine.
to kind of ignore it a little
It's
bit.
all fine.
It's great. So good. But on that trip, I remember very vividly just having a few different interactions thinking something's up. And I remember in my intuition leaving, I remember looking around at everyone's and I thought to myself, oh my gosh, this will be the last trip I ever take with AdvoCare. And believe it or not, 3 weeks later, we got a phone call that said they changed their compensation plan. It was basically going to take our income from $40,000 to $50,000 a month down to about $400 a month.
Mm-hmm.
And
Wow.
it was, overnight and unexpected.
Nice.
And you're still living that 40 to 50K a month lifestyle. So you still have those bills coming in, but now you're making $400.
Well, and the one thing I will say about that, because a lot of people, and this is just a lesson for everybody, a lot of people, when they were making that kind of money, was living up to that. They were buying the $1 million homes and they were driving the, all the crazy things and living almost paycheck to paycheck, if that makes sense, with that income coming in.
Yeah.
We didn't do that. And so thankfully, we had about 1.5 to 2 years of savings that we had enough in our savings to be able to be okay. And that's the only reason we were okay, was because we had planned ahead prior to anything happening. Because entrepreneurship, you just never know. Yeah.
So you went from the stay-at-home mom to extremely successful with the Advocare. What was Eric's role, your husband's, in this during this process? Because what was he doing, and then how did that shift?
Yeah, so he was actually, when we got started, he was in medical device sales. At first, it was kind of that cute little thing that his wife was going to do and, whatever. But then he started seeing that I was taking it seriously. I'm bringing in great income, and he became incredibly supportive. Came to all the events, all the things. In 2015, it got to a place where I couldn't manage him traveling, him working, me with the kids, running this business. I couldn't do it all. And so he did at that time decide to step away and help me in that business.
Wow.
So from 2015 to 2017, he worked side by side with me, more on like the back end. So he did a lot of the back end things. I get the question all the time though, would I do it again? And the answer is no, I would not, because it took away his identity. And I think as men, you need to have that identity. And he suddenly left making a great income for our family to suddenly almost being like my assistant. Mm-hmm. And while yes, it made sense for us at that time, just seeing what it did to his
there was no purpose for
him.
He didn't have that purpose for himself.
He started losing the confidence in himself, right? And he always kind of like he was in my spotlight, and I hated that.
Yeah.
So once we decided to transition away from Advocare, he did go back and went to medical sales for a little while, and now is ultimately a business broker and truly exactly where he is supposed to be.
So let me ask you this. So we're talking about identity with Eric, right?
Yep.
So how did you prevent this from becoming your identity, where it's like, okay, I busted my ass to get this business where I got it, and now it failed. Mm-hmm. Now what? How do I not allow myself to let that be my identity and feel that I have what it takes to build it back up?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I would say with Advocare, it was my identity, right? It wasn't that I was my own business owner. I was a distributor with Advocare. And when that happened, I immediately changed that mindset. And I went, no, I am Abby, but I am with a company, if that makes sense. I have my own business. And so the second company we went to for about 4 years, it was great. I loved the products. I never was fully myself there. I never gave it my all. There was something for some reason that I just didn't feel fully connected. And I don't know. There was something there. And so I knew if I was ever going to do it again, for instance, with the company I'm at now, that I was going to do it completely different. And I was going to give it my 100% all, because at the end of the day, I look at it like anything, like any sort of a business, right? Businesses come and go all the time. You don't just stop working because your business goes away, right? Like if your gym went away, you guys wouldn't just throw your hands up and be like, well, guess we're not training anymore. No, you would go find a new gym to train at. And so that was the same thing. And I think a lot of people in our industry had a hard time after Advocare because that was their identity, that they did not know how to go anywhere else and do anything else because they didn't have the confidence.
It's like the TikTok thing. When they announced that they were going to shut down TikTok, people lost their minds. They were
that's who they were.
Because that's their identity. They were like, and so that's something for our entrepreneurs listening in is to think about, is if your major platform failed today, would you be able to reach your audience in another way?
Because there's so many people that are so reliant on Instagram and any social media platform that again, that is their identity. They're an influencer, and if that went away, you're just a normal ass person. And guess what? You got to do normal ass shit. And that's just how it works.
And I'm going to just say this. Guess what? Influencers, you are just normal ass people.
You are.
That kind of goes back to that identity shift. And, and I think this is something that you can talk to these entrepreneurs that are listening, that if you ever feel lost with something that you've built, what would you say to them?
Yeah. I would say everything happens for a reason, because as much as I felt like that was such a devastating time, I remember just being at the gym and I was sitting against a brick wall, and I remember the feeling of my back going down the brick wall because my knees went weak. And it's okay to be pissed and it's okay to be sad, but you have to remember that that's happening to you for a reason. And I look at where I'm at now. And if I was to go back and be given the option of having that company and that business again and being back there or being where I'm at now, I would never in my entire life go back because of who I've become and what I've done. I'm actually so grateful it happened. I'm thankful they released me because I was able to go be free and be truly who I was supposed to be. And I think a lot of times entrepreneurs get so caught up in what I've done in the past. Well, oh my gosh, but I worked so hard and I did this. Yes, you did. But guess what? That's all
true.
It's also the past.
And
that's
also
not
the
coming
victim
back.
mindset.
It is. It's the victim mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, we can't look in the past. We have to look in the future. The past is done. So, okay, great. Take the lessons and go do it better. That's it.
I posted a quote yesterday. It said, "You're not a true hustler until you can lose everything and build it back."
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You're a true hustler.
Thank you. Thank you.